what is the IMRD program about? What is the content and the scope, and why should you study it? So why should you study IMRD? Well, rural areas are important. Not only do rural areas consist a large part of the world's surface, but also a very significant share of the world population is living in rural areas, about 45%. And these rural areas, they provide food, fresh water, energy, timber, metals, minerals, and many other resources to not only for themselves, but also to the cities. Furthermore, these areas host ecosystems, biodiversity, and indigenous cultures. So these are very important areas. But these areas have a lot of societal challenges. Livelihoods in the rural areas are often less good as in the cities because of poor infrastructure, because of poor services, lower incomes. So developing these areas is important. But it's also difficult because there's external challenges. Challenges like climate change, land degradation, deforestation, biodiversity loss, and fragmentation of natural habitats, poverty, and geographical isolation. So with all this in mind, attention and continued investment in rural areas is very important. And it is widely accepted, and that's why rural development keeps on being very high on the political agenda around the world. And of course, if this is very important, then you also need rural development professionals, people who can make these changes, who can address these societal challenges. And that is what we want to do with our program. So in the IMRD program, we want to equip our students to address these societal challenges. We want to equip them to translate the visions for rural development into practice. And which approach do we take for that? Well, we want to provide a comprehensive education, an education that focuses both on social and natural sciences, both on qualitative and quantitative methods, but that also gives you skills. And linked to these skills, we also want to include a lot of practical engagement through field studies, case studies, practical work on the ground with partners. And finally, not to forget, a lot of intercultural exchange. You have a lot of intercultural exchange, not only by the composition of the class group, but also through your mobility, studying at different locations, having teachers from different cultures coming over. And this is also a very big added value for the program. Now, we see our program as a T-shaped profile. And what does this T-shaped profile mean? Well, at the basis, everybody studying our program should get awareness on socioeconomic concepts, theories, and multidisciplinary approaches related to rural development. But then you go into depth. You get deep knowledge into one of three fields: analysis of food systems, social transitions, or governance and sustainability of rural areas. But it's not only about studying and going to depth. We also want to provide you with a lot of skills. And these skills form the top part of our T, where you get skills related to the ability to analyze and evaluate and solve problems, but also the skills and tools or use instruments for development, critical reflection skills, also to learn how to go into dialogue with different actors, to learn to work in team, and to learn to communicate in written and verbal ways. So this is the way we want to educate our alumni. So how do we translate this in our program? So our program is structured along three paths. There's a part focusing on agri-food systems. There's a part focusing on social transitions. And there's a part focusing on governance and sustainability. Whichever path you take, you always start with an entrance module in Ghent University. But after that Ghent University entrance module, the three paths separate. The agri-food systems path then has a second advanced module in Ghent University and a third advanced module in Pisa University. The social transitions path moves to Slovak University of Agriculture in Nitra and l'Institut Agro in Rennes. And the governance and sustainability path goes to Cordoba University and Humboldt University of Berlin. You see that in the middle, there's also a bar that is the same for all tracks. That is the case study. So whatever path you're in, whatever mobility path you're in, you can go to a case study either in Pisa, Slovakia, or a case study in the south. Then the final part of the program is that you have to do a master dissertation. And this master dissertation is linked to your path. So students who are in the agri-food systems path, they will have a master dissertation at Ghent or Pisa, while students at in the social transition path will have a master dissertation in Slovakia or in France at l'Institut Agro. Next slide. So this is was the basic mobility path, but next to this basic mobility path, we also have windows for international exchange. So we also had these international partners. Well, specifically for students who have a VLIR scholarship, there's advanced modules at our Global South partners, so in Canteu, Espol, and Pretoria. Furthermore, even if you're in the Erasmus Mundus tracks, you can have a Global South case study. And then finally, IMRD also hosts a number of double degree programs. These are programs where, as a student, you start in the IMRD program in Europe in one of the tracks. And in your second year, you can go to an exchange at one of the international partners listed here. And in that way, you don't only get the joint IMRD program, but you also get the program or the degree of the partner university. And these programs are the Atlantis program, where you can do your second year at University of Arkansas and obtain also a diploma from Arkansas. The ECAFRI program, where you can study in South Korea at Korea University and Seoul National University. And the ERUDEF program, where you can do your second year at ESPOL, Escola Superior Politécnica del Litoral. Thank you. Finally, we also have non-academic partners in our consortium, and the main reason to have those is to connect you to the work field. Through these non-academic partners, you can do internships or you can do your master dissertation research in collaboration with these non-academic partners. And the non-academic partners, amongst others, include the CGR centers such as IRI and ICRAF CIFOR, but also FIO and also NGOs like Ricolto.